world, this is Cinema Steph here with another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Thor: The Dark World, which came out today, November 8th, 2013. So some of you might have seen it last night or earlier today, but I hope that most of you have not seen it, and so this will all be, informative for you. The movie was directed by Alan Taylor. I know nothing about him except that he is not Kenneth Branagh or Joss Whedon, who of course directed the previous Thor movie and then Joss Whedon with Avengers. The movie is 112 minutes long and it's rated PG-13 for sequences of intense sci-fi action and violence and some suggestive content. I really don't know what suggestive content they're talking about, but that's what the rating says. It stars Chris Hemsworth returning as Thor and Natalie Portman as his girlfriend Jane Foster. There's Tom Hiddleston returning as Loki, the adopted brother of Thor, Sir Anthony Hopkins as Odin, his father, Rene Russo as Frigga, his mother, Idris Elba as Heimdall, who's the guardian of Asgard, the guy who stands out on the Bifrost and watches over everything. And then you have Dennings returning as Darcy, Jane's friend, and Stellan Skarsgard, I have to say that like a pirate every time, I'm sorry, as Erik, Selvig, the other research partner and friend of Jane. And then you've got Christopher Eccleston as the dark elf Malekith. Now this is the bad guy. He was unrecognizable to me, largely because he has so much makeup on his face and because you never actually hear his voice, I don't think, or if you do, it's very briefly, because he mostly speaks in dark elf language, whatever that is. So, this movie was very entertaining, and I thought it was better than the first Thor. Now, of course, that's just my opinion, some of you will probably disagree. I really enjoyed it, though. The opening is a scene straight out of Lord of the Rings, pretty much. You've got Anthony Hopkins narrating, and you've got this epic battle between the Dark Elves and the Asgardians. And the main thing that you need to learn is that this Dark Elf guy Malekith has this floaty, red, glowy stuff called the Ether that has some sort of power that will allow him to cover the universe in darkness. I don't know if Dark Elves somehow thrive in darkness, but it seems like that would be bad for everyone, including the Dark Elves. But that's just my thought, I don't know. So, the Asgardians, of course, win the battle and subdue the Dark Elves, and then they have the Ether, and they're like, well, what do we do with it? And can we destroy it? And at which point I was like, throw it into Mount Doom! But instead, they decided to hide it, because of course there is no Mount Doom in the Marvel Universe. And then we fast forward to modern day Asgard. We get a gratuitous shot of a shirtless Thor, which I'm sure a lot of fangirls will love, especially if you see it in IMAX 3D. I saw it in IMAX 3D, and even though I'm not a huge Chris Hemsworth fan, it's a pretty nice shot. I'd recommend that if you are interested in seeing it in IMAX, you go before it gets replaced by Hunger Games, which it probably will in a couple weeks. So, Thor is still hanging out with all his buddies from the last film, except for the Asian dude. I'm sorry, I don't know their character names, but he shows up very, very briefly, because I guess he's actually from a different world, and he decided to stay there. But so Thor is going around reconquering all these other worlds, and because, I don't know, I guess we're supposed to accept that Asgard, is Asgardians are the best rulers, I don't know. Seems kind of strange. But whatever, I guess that's the way that is. You've still got Sif, who is the Arwen-like character. You've got the Gimli-like character. You've got the guy who looks like Errol Flynn, this time played by Zachary Levi. I don't know if I already said that, but I guess before he was played by someone named Josh Dallas. And Yeah, so that's going on. Loki gets locked away after all the mischief and mayhem he caused in Avengers. And this is the first time I really appreciate Tom Hiddleston and Loki. Not that he did a poor job before, but I think that the character is even better in this movie. He has all the great snarky remarks and does a bunch of tricks and illusions, and he's just really good in this kind of frenemy role. Whereas before, well, in the first one, he was like the betrayer, and then in the second one, he is, of course, the villain. And I just want to say, without ruining anything, but I want to say that Loki does a very good Captain America impression, and you'll know what I mean when you see the movie. You see a lot more of Asgard in this movie, which I really think is cool because I really didn't get a feel for it before, and now I have a better understanding of their technology, kind of, which is weird because they're kind of high-tech and low-tech simultaneously. You know, they have all these medieval weapons, but then they also have, like, machine gun type things and these golden force fields and whatever. And you get to see them partying, which is a very small part of the movie, but it's funny because you see one of the characters throw his mug down on the ground and go, another! And so, everyone who's seen the first movie, of course, that will be a little treat for them, I guess. And I think the Dark Elves, just in general, are a cooler villain than the Frost Giants. The Dark Elves actually do have technology, they have spaceships and guns of their own. And yeah, as I said, you get to see a lot of Asgard, you get to see some other worlds, the Dark World, and wherever else. But you do get to eventually get to see Earth, and Jane is there with Darcy in London. Darcy now has an intern, and she's really more of a character in this one, which I like. She has a more essential role. She actually contributes to the plot instead of just giving sarcastic remarks. And of course she still gives her sarcastic remarks, and they're very funny. But yeah, I feel like she's actually helping out with the research this time instead of just tagging along. And Erik Selvig has a much more reduced role from what he has had previously. But when he does show up, it's very funny because it's entertaining because he's gone off his rocker, which reminds me of the Stan Lee cameo. Now, I'm going to tell you it's in a scene that involves Erik, and that's all I'm going to tell you, but it's there. It's pretty funny. Maybe not his best, but definitely worth keeping an eye out for. So Jane gets magically teleported to the Dark World, to the location of the Ether, and I don't know why, but she touches it. I don't know, if I were teleported to some strange world and I could, like, I don't know, see some strange substance, I'm not going to go over and poke at it, but that's what she does, and that thing sets off a chain reaction, kind of. It wakes up the slumbering Dark Elves, and it makes Thor concerned, so he comes down to Earth and finds her. She's by that point returned to Earth, and so Thor takes Jane to Asgard to have her checked out because she got this ether stuff in her. Anyway, so the two lovers are reunited. I don't know if lovers is really the right word because they just kiss. It's a very mild, kind of underdeveloped relationship, but I don't know, I guess it's cute, whatever. It's more funny than anything. Now, when Jane is brought to Asgard, I think they really missed out on a lot of potential comedic scenes here, or little jokes they could have done. because of course you're taking someone to a completely different world where there are different cultures, different technology, everything like that, and you could have her like embarrassing herself by wearing the clothing wrong or whatever, but they don't do anything like that. I don't know if they even thought about it, or if they like cut it in pre-production or post-production, or just never wanted to go that direction, but you know what, it's okay, there's enough other laughs elsewhere, and the flow of the movie's pretty good, so that's fine with me. And the movie is not without its sad moments. There are battles, so of course there are deaths, and you do get this one kind of touching, I guess, scene that is very reminiscent of the floating light scene from Tangled. They have these like glowy balls that they release into the air, so that was, I don't know if that's from the comics originally or if that's more of a Disney influence, but it's there. They don't really dwell on the sad parts. Overall, it's action and comedy, I guess I'd say. But, I mean, this is a movie that it has drama, it has romance, it has comedy, it has action, so it's really a complete package, which is why I recommend it for everyone. Now, the trailer, I don't think really did the movie justice, because it focused on things like that rock monster, who was right at the beginning, and he literally just appears for as long as you see him in the trailer, and so I don't know why they even include stuff like that, but I guess they thought it would draw people. But yeah, so I think the movie overall is much better than the trailer made it out to be. I would gladly rewatch it again and again, and even though it uses the kind of dated, world-aligning, mystic event plot device, it doesn't matter because, and sure there are logical flaws in maybe some of the people's actions or in the plot in general, but that's to be expected. It's a superhero movie. I mean, you're talking about a man from another, like, dimension, so you can't expect it to be all logical. I was also very glad that they treated this kind of the same way they treated Iron Man 3, where it's going to be a separate storyline, but it alludes to the Avengers. So, yeah, you get your references, but they don't focus on that. It's not a sequel to Avengers. That, of course, will be Avengers 2 or whatever. Even if you haven't seen Thor or Avengers, I would still recommend Thor: The Dark World. And for those of you who are looking forward to future Marvel movies, you might want to stay till the end. They do, you know, after they have like kind of artistic parts to the credits, and then you get your cutscene, which is, I believe, Guardians of the Galaxy. A little preview for that. So I really know nothing about them except that the movie is coming out and what I've read on Wikipedia. So it looks fun though. I hope that you guys, whoever you are, see this movie, or even if you do see it, I hope that you enjoy it, at least. And that's it. So I give it an 8 out of 10 for Thor: The Dark World, and I will see you next time.